Shana Tova, everyone. Before we endeavor to get fully settled, why don't you, I see people doing it a little bit, and hopefully you've been doing it, but take a moment and wish someone Happy New Year, especially find someone who's not familiar to you. Introduce yourself, say hello, and say Happy New Year. Everyone complete their assignment? Be a bad way to start the new year, don't you think? For those of you who I haven't had the pleasure to meet, my name is Rabbi Adam Morris, and welcome to Temple Micah, and Shana Tova, and Happy New Year to everyone. I hope I get a chance to say hello after the service to those faces familiar and unfamiliar. But to start, I invite you just to sit and show up. So whatever it was, the journey just from wherever you came, the drive, the park, the walk, whatever it may be, that to leave that behind because you are here. Whatever it was these last few weeks of the beginning of school years in some households, or end of summers and transition of fall in others, caught up in the dynamics and tension of election season, these current months, whatever it may be, just to leave that part of journey behind you too. And even more so, to the longer year and the path that brought all of us here. That's part of our collective Jewish communal experience, but then those individual experiences that were part of the path that brought us here. Just take a moment and show up. Be present. If it helps, close your eyes and take a breath or two. You've been doing it all along, so not so hard, but just give it some more attention and notice. Hineni. Be able to say, I'm here. Body. Hineni, in mind. Hineni, in heart. Hineni, in spirit. We now prepare to unify our entire selves, body, heart, mind, and spirit, with this holy community, with the Jewish people everywhere, with all people everywhere, with all life and being, to commune with the source of all being. May we find the words, the music, the movements that will put us in touch with the great light of the divine. May the rungs of insight and joy that we reach in our meditations flow between us and imbue all our actions in the world that follow. May the presence of the holy rest upon us and within us. May the sacred presence inspire us to establish the works of our hands, and may the works of our hands establish the enduring presence of this holiness in our world.
Hineni He'ani mimas נרעש ונפחד מפחד, יושב תהילות ישראל. באתי לעמוד ולחנן לפניך על עמך ישראל, אשר שהלכוני, ואף על פי שאני כדאי והגון לכך, על כן אבקשך אלוהי אברהם, אלוהי יצחק ואלוהי יעקב, אלוהי שרה, אלוהי רבקה, אלוהי רחל ואלוהי לאה. אדוני, אדוני, אל רחום וחנון, אלוהים, שעדי איום ונורא, היינה מצליח דרכי, אשר אנוכי הולך לעמוד ולבקש רחמים עלי ואשול חי, ונעל נפשי אם בחטאותי, ואל תחיים בעוונותי, כי חוטא ופושע אני, ואל יחלמו בשי, ואל אבושה בהם, וקבל תפילתי כתפילת זקן ורגיל, ופרקו נועה וקולו נעים, ומעורב בדעת עם הבריות. והנף דגלנו עליך בכה לכל פשעים, תקצה באחווה וכל צרות ורעות. הפך לנו ולכל ישראל לששון ולשמחה, לחיים ולשלום, האמת והשלום אהבו ואל ייסום מכשול בתפילתי. יהי רצון מלפניך אדוני אלוהי אברהם, אלוהי יצחק ואלוהי יעקב, אלוהי שרה, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון. אהיה אשר אהיה, שתבוא תפילתי לפני כיסא כבודך בעבור. כל הצדיקים והחסידים, התמימים והישרים, כל הצדיקים והחסידים, התמימים והישרים, ובעבור כבוד שמך הגדול והנורא, כי אתה שומע תפילת עמך ישראל ברחמים. ברוך אתה שומע תפילה.
I'd like to invite all those who just arrived to come on in. So it's become our custom in our community that for these 10 days, I create and hand out bracelets for everyone. These bracelets, I guess the initial idea was to wear them during these 10 days. Because the idea of these holy days is not just, we show up in Rosh Hashana, then 10 days later. They're a package deal. They're a start and an end to a time in our lives we are encouraged and invited to give time for extra reflection and introspection. And so each year I consider the year and reach into our tradition and find something for kavanah, for focus. So this year I found the words of Rabbi Nachman of Bratslav, and there are bracelets on the edges of each of your rows. So if you'd like to grab, and if you're on the edges and grab and pass along. Of course, no one's in the front row, so there's plenty down here. Rabbi Nachman of Bratslav was an 18th century Chassid, one of the greats of the Hasidic movement. And one of the things that he has taught, Im yachol ta'amin sheyochlin lekalkel, ta'amin sheyochlin letaken. If you believe you are able to break, believe you are able to fix. If you believe you're able to destroy, believe you're able to heal. If you believe you are able to bring pain, believe you're able to bring peace. I feel that's right for any year, but it feels so right for this collective year that we as a Jewish community has experienced. It is unlike any other year, I can certainly say, in my lifetime, and probably in most of our lifetimes. A year that we have seen a brokenness, things shattered in a way that we have never seen. How important it is to acknowledge that and see it and witness it and feel, but also never lose sight that within us, collectively as a world, as a people, and as individuals, is the potentiality, the power, litaken, to fix, to repair, to heal. So we're about to announce the new year. So before we do, it's the moment to take this focus and look back to each of our years. It's up to you what you want to bring in this moment. Is it a balance of the collective and global sense, or is it more personal? Is it those elements of breaking and shattering? Done to you, done to us, or that we did ourselves? Or is it those moments, those acts of repair, of care, of blessing that were still abundant and still there? So we take a few moments with this as our guide, as our focus. Consider 5784. Consider its brokenness, the pain, the loss that is there in so many ways. But also call to mind in equal measure what is good, what is healed, and what is repaired. So gathering the scars and the insights, the pain and the teachings, even the curses and the blessings that were part of 5764, we let it behind us and welcome 5785. Would you all please rise as we open the Ark and announce the new year? We're on page 19. Actually, we're on page 15 first. Excuse me. Jumping ahead. Getting excited to get rid of this year.
Tiku v'chodesh shofar b'kesel yom chagenu ki chok liYisrael hu mishpat l'Elohei Yaakov mishpat l'Elohei Yaakov.
We're now on page 19. Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Yehi ratzon shenizkeh lebirchotecha b'shnat chameshet alpayim u'sheva ma'ot u'shmonim v'chamesh. Elohei olam barei otanu ve'et kol beit Yisrael b'chidush yameinu, v'simcha u'v'shalom b'nechama uv'ometz lev, v'cholutz v'atzamot uv'aruach etana. Yehi peri sefatenu mekubal v'ratzui milfanecha, bifros Hashana hachadasha. La'ad modim anachnu lach al matana hachaim. Let's continue together. Our God and God of our ancestors, may we know your blessings in the year 5785. Eternal One, bless us, the whole house of Israel, and the entire world with renewed life, happiness and peace, comfort and courage, resilience and strength. May the words of our heart be acceptable to you in the new year that stretches before us. We are forever grateful for the gift of life. Tekiah. Please remain standing. We begin our prayer, continue our prayers on page 20. The Baruch Hu invites us to stand and sit more deeply in this Kehillah we create tonight. Page 20.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed.
We continue on pages 22 and 23. We do so on our own, either in the Hebrew or one of the interpretive translations. Here, the liturgy invites us to give attention and notice and wonder to creation, whether it's nature out there or the creative acts that we benefit from or participate in ourselves. We take a moment, even with this liturgy or the prayers we find within, to give our appreciation for the dynamic and wonder of creation in our world. Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim. We turn to pages 24 and 25. In the same form, we continue, but our focus shifts to rather dynamics of creation, but moments, experiences that are like Sinai, that move us, that impact us, that transform us, that inspire us. We take a moment to appreciate the way that we encounter such people and times and moments, or we do that for others as well. Baruch atah Adonai Ohev Amo Yisrael. We're on page 26 and 27.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malkuto, Le'olam Va'ed.
Please be seated.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לעוד על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובאישוריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Our prayers continue on page 34. The last of these moments that we find in our stories that our tradition asks us to give notice to be appreciative of, is that experience, that dynamic of redemption, of freedom. As we sing these words from Michamocha that are part of our freedom moment and our freedom story, we consider the ways we are free, the blessing of freedom, how it impacts our lives. And also we are pushed to look beyond ourselves and see in the world where there are many without freedoms of all kind. And we are charged, we are challenged to do what we can to help facilitate more freedom, more redemption for everyone in the world. And so we sing these words, we consider all the blessings and all the opportunities ensconced in freedom. Page 34.
I, mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nedor ba'kodesh, nora tehilot osefele, malchutecha rahu vanecha, bokei ayam lifnei Moshe uMiriam, ze Eli anu ve'amru, Adonai imlo le'olam va'ed, v'ne'emar kifada Adonai et Yaakov, uge'alo miyad chazak mimenu, Baruch ata Adonai, Baruch hu Baruch Shemo.
Our prayers continue on page 36. This evening prayer is found in whenever we get together and pray in the evening communally. It is a common theme and as deeper as all things are this time of year. We say in it, Baruch atah Adonai hapares sukat shalom aleinu. We praise you, we bless you, in the hopes of the spreading of a shelter of peace, a sukkah of peace around us. The words and the melody of this prayer are endeavor to create within us that sense of security and peace. Well, maybe you feel this if you've been camping, maybe sitting in a sukkah as well. You're outdoors and the elements are not too terrible, but they're out there. And there you are within that small space. You're held, you're embraced. You're still outside. You still have the sense, the feel of nature and its beauty and its awe, but you are embraced and just feel a little more comfortable and at ease, snuggled in that space of safety. Well, whatever that space is for you, it's a physical space, it's a relationship, that's what this prayer invites you to bring to heart as we are thankful for those spaces in our lives and inquiring of more of them as possible. Page 36. Our prayers now continue on page 40. Throughout the year, the structure, the map of all of our communal services are pretty much the same. They have the same kind of elements to them, the same flow. But what changes throughout the year, depending on what day of the week it is, or season, or holiday, that prayers get added, melodies get inserted, or just words even get changed to emulate what's happening that day and that time. If for some reason you were in outer space and were dropped in a synagogue, you would be able to know what day and time of year it was if you weren't by those cues. So for those who are familiar with that ebb and flow, what we're about to do in this center part of our prayers called tefillah, I'll remind you is a little different. That you've already heard the melodies that are different, but we insert some liturgy, some ideas, some poetry that fits this time of year. And so pay attention, be aware for how that is layered in. And if it's not on your radar, then, well, you can check out the English and see what changes and what shifts. Or if it's not on your radar at all, then just open your ears and open your heart and participate along and let the prayer take you where it's meant to take you tonight. So we start on page 40 with Chatzi Kaddish, and then we'll continue with and rise in a moment for tefillah.
Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah b'yama difrachirutei v'yamlik malkutei b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael ba'gala u'v'zaman kariv v'yimru Amen. Yahei shemei Rabbah mevarach le'alam u'lalmei almaya Yitbarach, v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar, v'yitpamam, v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar, v'yitalev, v'yitalal, shemei dekudashah, le'ela, u'le'ela, mikol birchata, v'shirata, tushbechata, v'nechemata, da'amiron biyama, v'yimru, amen.
We're on page 42.
Yadai dai 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 Adonai. Yadai dai 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 svotai tiftach. Yadai dai 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 ufi agid tehilatecha. Yada da 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 Adonai. Yada da 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 Shvatai tiftach. Yada da 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 ufi agid tehilatecha. Yada da 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 Adonai. Yada da 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 Shvatai tiftach. Yada da 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 ufi agid tehilatecha.
Page 44.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Hasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Hasdei Avot V'imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei V'nechem, Leman Shemo Be'achava. Zochreinu L'chaim, Melech Hafetz B'chaim, V'chotvenu B'sefer HaChaim, V'chotvenu B'sefer HaChaim, Le'ma'ancha Elohim HaChaim, Melech Ozer, U'Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah. Amen.
Page 46.
Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol Atarav Lehoshiach, Merid Atal, Mechalchel Chaim Bechesed, Mechayeh HaKol Berachamim Rabim, so make noflim v'rofei cholim umatir asurim umechayim emunata lishenei afar micha mocha Mal gevurot umido melach melech memit umechaye umatmiach Yeshua.
We continue with these prayers of tefillah on our own. They continue through page 66 in our Machzor, in our prayer book, and you can use that as you follow, but this time is your time. So if your prayers fit what's in the liturgy and that's your jam, then follow that. But in the idea of being prayerful or meditative or reflective, something else fits you, words of your own, images, or the lack of those things, the quiet, that is your prerogative, your responsibility to use this time that is most conducive for your prayer. So please do so standing or seated, but we do so on our own as we each enter our own inner sanctum, our inner Holy of Holies. As I mentioned, the structure of every service we do is pretty much the same. This part of our service, called Tefillah, always ends with Birkat Shalom, a blessing, a prayer for peace. Because no matter what time of year, no matter what week or day, we could always use a little more of that. But this year, on this day, there's a weightier need and call for peace. There's a clearer scarcity as we see lack of peace, the pain, the loss, the suffering. It began almost a year ago and continues to this very day. Whether it's the collective idea of that place that is near to and dear to us because of its history or our spirituality, because we have people there who mean something to us, its turmoil and torment are with us every day. The lack of peace there impacts the entire world, and especially us. So tonight, as we end Tefillah with Birkat Shalom, gathering in all the ways and all the parts and corners of our world that are incomplete, let us give that extra focus, that extra spirit and energy of ours to that place that is so broken right now. To all the people who are scared and lost, away from their families, fearing for their loved ones, grieving their dear ones. Let us all give our focus to that as we hear and sing these words. Shalom Rav. May peace be great, abundant. Page 66.
Shalom Rav, all Yisrael Amcha, Tasiv
Le'olam.
Ki ata melech Adon, lechol shalom, v'tov b'necha, levarech et himcha Yisrael, b'chol heit uv'chol shah b'shlomecha. B'sefer chayim beracha v'shalom, beracha v'shalom ufarnasa tova, beracha v'shalom nizacher v'nikatev lefanecha. Anachnu v'chol amcha beit Yisrael l'chayim tovim u'l'shalom. Baruch ata Adonai osei shalom.
We continue on page 77 with one of those insertions, maybe the most well-known of insertions these 10 days. Avinu Malkeinu, page 76, 77. Please rise as the ark is open. Wait. Oh, I'm sorry.
Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Kolenu. Avinu Malkeinu, Hatkanu Lefanecha. Avinu Malkeinu, Hamol Aleinu, V'yalol Aleinu, V'tapeinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Kale Dever, V'kerev V'ra'av, Me'aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Kale Kol Tsar, Umastin, Me'aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Kotvenu, B'Sefer Chaim Tovim. Avinu Malkeinu, Kadesh Aleinu, Kadesh Aleinu, Shana Tova. Avinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Harem, Harem, Keren Yisrael Amecha. Avinu Malkeinu, Chonenu Va'anenu, Ki ein banu ma'asim. Aseh manu, tzedakah v'chesed, v'hoshienu. Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Kolenu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chonenu Vanenu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chonenu Vanenu, Ki ein banu ma'asim. Aseh manu, tzedakah v'chesed. Aseh manu, tzedakah v'chesed, v'hoshienu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chonenu Va'anenu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chonenu Va'anenu, Ki ein banu ma'asim.
Please remain standing and turn to page 83, where you'll find Aleinu.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'teit gedula l'yotzer b'reishit, shehu noteh shamayim v'yoser aretz, umoshav yigaro b'shamayim mima'al, ushkinat uzo b'govhei meromim, hu Eloheinu ein od. Vanachnu korim, umishtachavim, umodim, lifnei melech, malchei hamlachim, hakadosh baruch hu.
We continue together on the top of page 85. May the time not be distant, our God, when all shall turn to you in love, when corruption and evil shall give way to integrity and goodness, when lies and bigotries no longer enslave the mind, nor idolatry blind the eye. So may all created in your image become one in spirit and one in friendship, forever united in your service. Then shall your realm be established on earth, and the word of your prophet fulfilled. Adonai will reign forever and ever.
V'ne'emar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yiyeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad.
Please be seated. I invite you to turn to pages 86, 87, 88, 89. A few meditations on these pages as we spend a few moments in quiet reflection on this first day, this first night of the new year, about to recite Mourner's Kaddish for the first time, and do the things that Mourner's Kaddish has us do, both in form and content. In form, it's a time we stop and give notice and attention to who we've lost. The people personally in our lives, but also in our world, did acts of human choice or natural catastrophe that has ended people's lives and impacted ours. And also within the content of Kaddish that doesn't mention death or loss or shadow or darkness. It points us towards the source of light, of life. And then even in that darkness and that loss and grief, our tradition turns us and nudges us towards the light, towards the divine. We take a few moments of silent reflection.
Shana Tova tehorahi. Elohai neshama, Shana Tova tehorahi. Shana Tova tehorahi. Elohai neshama, Shana Tova tehorahi.
Please turn to page 90 and please rise. Before we recite these words of Mourner's Kaddish together, if there are people who you are thinking of tonight and remembering and missing, and you'd like to say their name to include in those who were given and reciting these words for, please take the time to do so.
Barbara Adams. Stephen Boucher, Julie Boucher, Claude Bailey.
join together. Yit Gadal, V'yit Gadal, Shmei Ra. V'yalma divrach hirutei, v'yamlich malchutei. V'chayachonu v'yomechonu v'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael. Ba'agala uvizman kari v'imru. Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabba mivarach le'olam olamei almaya. Yit barach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitroma v'yitnaseh. V'yit adar v'yit aleh v'yit halal shemei dekudasha b'richu. Li'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tush b'chata v'nechamata. Damiram bi'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shalama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. V'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. V'al kol yoshvei tevel. V'imru. Amen. May the source of peace bestow peace on all who mourn. May we be a source of comfort to all who are bereaved. And together we all say, Amen. Please be seated. I'd like to invite Nina Visser and Sylvie Holland Edwards from our B'nai Mitzvah class of 5785. Who would like to share with you about our annual food drive.
My classmates and I will be handing out bags. Please take a bag and fill with hygiene items or non-perishable food and return it unnumbered. There is information on each bag about how to donate money if that's easier for you. All donations will go to the Jewish Family Services Weinberg Food Pantry. Thank you, Shana Tova. Shana Tova.
Thank you, Nina and Sylvie. That's happening tonight. Tomorrow you can grab a bag and bring it back. It's food and hygiene items. This is our annual food drive and always led by our B'nai Mitzvah class. After tonight's service, our board of directors would love to invite you to join us for a short nosh and oneg after the service. That's also custom, and you get to do it in a new space. Welcome to our new space if you've not been to Moffitt Boulevard Presbyterian Church. This is called the Miller Chapel. We'll be having the oneg in the commons area. That's the big area that you came in when you walked in. We're so excited to have you here and for you to see it. If you're curious about what our weekly Shabbat space and general space looks like, our Mikdash, the church calls it the green room. It's upstairs on the second floor, so you're free to wander upstairs. It doesn't say Mikdash on the signs yet, which means chapel or holy place, but it says green room, so you're welcome to wander upstairs. It's just kind of above over here and see what it looks like and see what it feels like as well. Tomorrow, our day starts at 9 a.m. with a family service, and our morning service starts at 10:30. Then the congregation would like to, on behalf of the congregation, would like you to join me for a Rosh Hashana open house tomorrow afternoon at 3:30 at Stanley Marketplace. We're gathering near Sweet Cow Ice Cream. I know it's not apples and honey, but for me, ice cream's as good as sweet as any. So that'll be, we'll meet there at 3:30, have a little ice cream, hang out. There's a playground, there's a place to sit and schmooze, and then we'll do as we normally do at 4:30. We'll walk over to Westerly Creek and perform the ritual of Tashlich. So if you don't want ice cream, you're welcome to show up at 4:30 and join us as we walk over as well. Beyond tomorrow, bit Rosh Hashana and through the weekend, we are celebrating the second day of Rosh Hashana in the park with B'nai Havara. Our two congregations are gathering at O'Keene Park on the west side, and we'll be leading a creative Rosh Hashana service. It is for the whole community. It is not family or kid focused, even though it's in the park. But kids are always, and families are always welcome. But just so you know that, if you're thinking about that. And we'll also be doing Tashlich there as well if you miss Tashlich tomorrow afternoon. Saturday morning, we'll do something high holiday-ish, New Year's-ish, for our toddlers and tots. So we'll meet upstairs in our Mikdash at 9 a.m. on Saturday morning. And then Sunday night, again with our friends at B'nai Havurah, we do a lot with them and a lot of creative, meaningful programs with them. But we are gathering our two communities to commemorate and remember October 7th and the year that we've lived since then. And I know there's also a communal observation on the actual day. And in addition to that, Rabbi Mizrahi and I very much wanted to offer this alternative that was in the spirit of our two communities, a little more informal, a little more intimate. So that's happening Sunday night, the 6th at 7 p.m. Now, if you wonder why it's weird that it's this October 7th and we're doing it on the 6th, well, if you go by Jewish calendars, we start the evening of for the next day counting, so because we're here for Erev Rosh Hashana. So in a way, it's still in that window of time. So, but we hope that you'll participate in any one of those commemoration and observations. I'd like to thank Josh Bogan for bringing his musical gifts and sharing them with us tonight, and supporting and aiding Yuri Ann, who always is here doing this, leading the musical part of our time together. So I've been doing this rabbi gig for about 30 years, which is hard to get my head around, that number. And doing this high holiday thing as well. And I had this experience on Rosh Hashana, particularly Erev Rosh Hashana, that it happens day of, usually on my trip to come to synagogue for the evening service. As I have my early dinner so I can digest before I start and lead a service, and I'm going usually in rush hour traffic and something, and the world just going about doing its thing. And it always bugs me a little bit, because I feel like, well, wait a minute. Well, maybe a little selfishly. I'm like, well, wait, I'm all gussied up, I'm all serious, I'm nervous, I'm not eating. It's time to, what's everyone just not thinking about this? And maybe it's a little selfish too, because I wonder, well, how many of my fellow Jews will be out doing that as well, not just treating it as a normal Wednesday night? Because what rabbi doesn't like having more people in the pews, right? But it's really not that. I mean, yeah, of course, we all love that, but that's not it really. What it is that it's not really me per se and how that choice impacts me. It's that sense, that profound feeling that there's something big happening. I really believe that. There's something big, profound, that we are being charged and called and summoned to give notice to. And people are missing out. People are missing out on this thing, this Rosh Hashana. And we all need it. I didn't have to reference it as many times as I have, but wow, what a year. What a year it's been. Who doesn't need some call, some summons to stop the world and get off for this break, for this opportunity? Because what I fully and wholeheartedly believe is there's something cosmic. There's something so deeply and desperately important that we need to hear and respond to. Maybe that's why I blow a shofar. It literally calls and summons us. That's what it was for. It calls us to this day. We hear, well, there's three calls we hear throughout these days. We hear, Teruah. Teruah literally means blast. It literally means shout. That note, that call is a shout, a blast to us. Actually, one of the names for this day is Yom Teruah. The day of the call, the day of the blast, because it's supposed to unsettle us, wake us up. One of our greatest sages and scholars, Moses Maimonides, the Rambam, said exactly this about this day. It's as if our souls are slumbering all the time, and the shofar is there to wake us up. Now, I know what happens with the shofar. It happens to me too. We treat the shofar call as something that's supposed to, that it's fun and it's cute. Oh, look how long Yuri blows the shofar. Isn't that great? We applaud at the end of the big one. We bring the kids and we sit and it feels great. It's cute. It's different. And I appreciate that too. But that's not all of it. The shofar is supposed to be this soul reverberating blast that wakes us up, that helps us be here. We started our service, our prayer saying, Hineni, I am here, fully present, and eyes, ears, heart, mind open. There's a story about a European town, a shtetl, whose rabbi had this peculiar custom about the shofar. Now, it's not just Rosh Hashana that the shofar is blown. It's for the whole month of Elul. And usually it's done at the morning service, and people gather, and they do the thing, and they go on and do their day. But this rabbi, he was a little off. And so what he would do is that at midnight of each night of Elul, he would climb the tallest hill in the town, and he would take the biggest shofar he had, and he would blow it at midnight, waking everyone up in their little shtetl. At night, they thought, oh, the rabbi's being himself, we'll let him go. But after the second or third night, some of the leaders of the community said, Rabbi, maybe we could do this in the morning? He said, no, that's the idea. The shofar is supposed to unsettle you, disrupt you. It's not supposed to be in the morning and just go do your work. And they said, oh, okay, thanks, Rabbi. And they knew they were in for a month of midnight shofar blowing. So every night at midnight, he would trudge up that hill, pull out the shofar, and blast away. And so it started to happen that the people throughout the month, instead of trying to go to sleep and waking up or sleeping through it or doing what they could not to hear it, they kind of laid awake waiting. And they were tired and groggy and cranky, but they were unsettled. And then laying awake in the wee hours of the night, in that quiet, in that vulnerability, maybe thought or paid attention to things that they didn't normally. And by the time Rosh Hashana came, after a month of that, when the full breath of the shofar, all 100 traditional calls came, those shofarot, well, they had been prepped and ready, and it broke open their hearts. And they experienced a 10 days like they'd never before. Because they were alive, they were awake, they were uncomfortable, they were attentive in a way that they had not been before. This day says to us, Teruah. Wake up. Pay attention. But now we're awake, what do we pay attention to? The shofar speaks to us next. It says, Tekiah. That note, it's full, it's long, it's clear, it's stable. That's what we are called. Actually, in the Torah, this day is called Zicharon Teruah. You shall call a day of remembrance. Rosh Hashana is a day of remembrance, and what are we supposed to remember? We are supposed to remember the true, full wholeness, the stability, the clarity of all the world, even in the midst of seeing our world and experience its brokenness and its fear and its frustration. We are called to see and remember the bigger piece. The legend is that with those 100 calls that we make on Rosh Hashanah traditionally, that literally a bridge is created between the earth and the heavens. The gates, you've heard that metaphor, are open. And we remember, there's more than this. Maybe the hell heavens thing doesn't work for you. Let me try a way that the mystics describe it. They say that our reality is two pieces. It's yesh and ayin. Our world is yesh. Yesh in Hebrew means that is. The thingness, the stuffness of reality. And it could be concrete things or abstract things, but that's this world. This world that we live in and we experience and we do things in and things are done to us, that is the yesh. But the mystics say there's also the ayin, the no-thingness, the nothingness, that is as real and as full and maybe more and beyond. And both are reality. We live so much in the world of yesh that we forget there's more. We are so attuned to just this world and its corporeality that we forget that there's more. And when we see that, we remember that, it changes our perspective profoundly and dramatically. You ever hear of the overview effect? I never heard about it, but I came across it. It's an experience described that happens to astronauts. When they are in space, and the first time that they see the Earth from far away, the Earth as part of this bigger backdrop of cosmos, their home, our home, it profoundly changes them and shifts them. They've done studies on this. After seeing this and experiencing this, astronauts come back and they change their lives. They're still astronauts, but they do more works of loving kindness, of tzedakah. They may not call it tzedakah, but that's what they do. There's something about seeing the world and its connectedness to the bigger piece, the larger more of the cosmos, that changes them profoundly. The sixth man, whoever went to the moon, Edgar Mitchell, he described it like this. There was a startling recognition that the nature of the universe was not as I had been taught. I not only saw the connectedness, I felt it. He saw it with his eyes. I'd say he saw it with his heart. He remembered maybe what we all have long ago forgot, that we are part of something so much larger than ourselves. And no matter how this earth, how this yesh feels, no matter how awesome it can be and the great things we get to do, no matter how much it kicks us in the behind and turns us inside out and makes us feel afraid and scared and broken, there is still more. And we remember and see that more, we can't help but to change. The Tekiah calls us to remember this wholeness, this clarity. third call of the shofar that summons us after we've woken up and paying attention, after we remember what we've forgotten, is shivarim. And that call, shivarim, means broken. Maybe you could hear it a bit. It's broken up, it's shattered. That's that call of the shofar and what it calls us to give notice to, attention to. But for me, it does so in the context of another way we name this day. This day is called Hayom Harat Olam, the day that the world was born. This is the world birthday. This is the day the world was created. On this day, we are summoned not just to pay attention or relive that brokenness that is part of being human beings, but to marinate ourselves in the dynamic and the power of creation. That's not just around us, that's within us. We are summoned, we are called to remember that no matter what the world throws and presents to us collectively or personally, we are still wired to respond with life, with movement, with progress, with growth. I think that's why I was inspired to share Reb Nachman's teaching. That if we believe that we or the world can break, we have to believe and remember that we can fix, we can repair, we can grow, we can make new. Reb Nachman, he was a kind of broken guy himself. By our definitions and thinking about things, Reb Nachman suffered from depression, anxiety, debilitating self-doubt. No doubt, not things that he was diagnosed with back in the 18th century. But nonetheless, this was his real worldview, and this is how he saw himself and in the world. And yet, he brought us this. I can imagine that this time of year was so difficult for him. Whatever his role in the community, but personally. Because, hey, what do we do in Yom Kippur? We list all our sins. We say all the ways we messed up, and that's hard. That's heavy. That's dark work. If you dive deep into our liturgy, or not so deep, it's heavy-handed. You don't come in here lighthearted. It kind of beats you up a little bit. So you can imagine Reb Nachman coming in and feeling the way he does about himself and just embrace and surrounded by this darkness. And yet, Reb Nachman taught that when you look deep inside and see and feel enveloped by the darkness, what we need to do, what we can do because it's within us, is just start to find just that small pin, that circle of light. Just find one, and then the other, and then another. And even if they're small and tiny, they are there, and you take them together and put them together as if notes on a music staff. And you create and you write and you sing a melody in that darkness, a song of light, of hope, of life. Because we are inherently built with this. No matter how heavy the darkness, we are built with light within us, and we are built to find it. So we hear that call of shivarim. It reminds us of both the brokenness, but today is Hayom Harat Olam, the day of creation, of rebirth and renewal. Shivarim. maybe say, wait, there's one more call, isn't there? There is. Tekiah Gedola. The big tekiah, literally. The big one, the last one. We embrace that one. It's long and big and strong because perhaps we've woken up. Perhaps we've remembered. And perhaps we've begun to lean into that power of birth, of renewal, of creation. There's a story in our tradition of the Tekiah Gedolah. In the book of Joshua, their first conquest in the Promised Land is the city of Jericho. It is the place that stands between them and going to the Promised Land. And it is fortified by the strongest, best walls of the era. And what's their strategy? What's their plan of attack? They surround the city of Jericho, all with shofarot in their hands, and then they walk around it 7 times, and then they blow a Tekiah Gedolah. And as the story goes, the walls fall down, and they can begin to enter the Promised Land. Now let's not get too stuck on the literal part of that and the land and who it belongs to, and we can have that conversation another day. Let's take this story in the realm of myth and metaphor. There are walls stopping each of us from moving from our wilderness to the Promised Land. This day calls us, summons us, imbues us with the power to knock those walls down. When we hear the Tekiah Gedolah, it wraps up all those other calls that tell us to wake up, be here, be present, that summons us to remember the more, the wonder, the possibility of this reality, that challenges us and reminds us, too, of our capacity to sit in any darkness and not only have the light, but create something with it. The Tekiah Gedolah calls us and summons us into each and every new year. As we hear its call tonight, I challenge you to truly hear its summons. Year is going to blow it long and hard and beautifully, and we're all going to want to cheer. Maybe some of you are going to time it, and that's okay. But on another layer, listen here, listen here, listen with all of yourselves, and hear that bold, beautiful summons to walk the threshold to what we need to face and the walls we each need to knock down in 5785. Tekiah Gedolah. You can cheer him, it's okay. We'll conclude our prayers tonight on page 94. Yeah, that's you. With a Donalam.
Asher Malach, Beterem Kol, Yetir Nivra, Liet Nasa, Behefza Kol, Azai Melech Shimon Nikro Adon Olam, V'achare, Kiklo Takol, Levado Yimlok Naro Adon Olam, V'hu Haya, V'hu Hoveh, Vehu yeh betifara Adon Olam, Adon Olam, Asher Malach, בטרם כל יציר נברא ליעץ נשא בהפץ הכל אזי מלך שמו נקרא אדון עולם והוא אחד ואין שני להמשילו להכבירו אדון עולם בלי ראשית בלי תכלית ולא העוז והמשרו אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת נשא בהפץ הכל אזי מלך שמו נקרא אדון עולם והוא אלי והי גואלי וצור הבלי ביצרה אדון עולם והוא ניסי ומנוס לי מנות כותי ביום מקרא אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת נשא בהפץ הכל אזי מלך שמו נקרא אדון עולם בידו הפקיד רוחי בייסי שן ויאירו אדון עולם ואם רוחי גבייתי אדוני לי ולא יראו אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת נשא בהפץ הכל אזי מלך שמו נקרא אדון עולם.
I'd ask you all to please rise for a closing prayer. After which of you could be helpful and grab your machzor, your prayer books, and take them back out. And please, even if you want to stop and just grab a nosh, you don't even have to say hello. No one will give you a dirty look, I promise. But stop by in the commons and enjoy a sweet taste for a happy new year. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless us and keep us safe and sound and secure. Ya'ir Adonai panav elecha v'yichunecha. May the light of what is God shine upon us and within us, be gracious to us, and help us be gracious to one another. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. And may that light be so bright that it fills our hearts, our homes, our community, and our world with the most precious blessing of all, peace. Amen. Shana Tova, everyone.